I already know I'm gonna get a bunch of angry comments calling me a bad mom, but I'm telling the story anyway. We were at Starbucks and there was a trans woman barista. My daughter looked at me and said, "Mama, is that a he or a she?" And I initially considered explaining what trans meant, but it seemed like a lot for the middle of Starbucks. So instead I said, "Why don't we ask what their pronouns are?" She asked how. So I said, I would say, "Hi, I'm Michelle. My pronouns are she, her. What are your pronouns?" And then my daughter did the same, and my kids leave crumbs of food everywhere, as kids are prone to do, and so my husband says to them, "We don't want to feed the ants," as he's either cleaning up or trying to get them to eat over a plate. And so yesterday at dinner, my 3-year-old picks up this little ball of rice. She leaves the table, so I follow her, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's hiding little grains of rice everywhere. She says, "Daddy never feeds the ants. They must be hungry." This morning, as I was packing my kids their lunch and their snack, I thought of those parents in Texas sending their kids off to school yesterday. They probably also stood there and packed their kids' food for the day. They probably wrote little notes. They made sure their shoes were on the right feet, that they had all their homework in their backpacks. I thought about how those children probably said, "I love you," as they walked out the door, and their parents' hearts melted a little bit, just like mine does every time my kids say that to me. I read this Ian S. Thomas poem, and it changed the way I think about parenting, so I wanted to share it. For your kids, whatever you do, however you treat them, is love. So if you are cruel to them, yell at them, ignore them, walk away, they will think it's love. If you are kind, gentle, listen to them, and hold them, they will think it's love. You'll teach your children every day that they are with you, what love is. And one day when someone treats them the way you treated them, they will say, "This is love." My kids were watching a movie, and I was in my office across the hall, and I noticed that my 3-year-old kept asking my 5-year-old to go downstairs and get her something. First it was a glass of water, then it was a tangerine, and then she asked her to bring her a paper towel. By the 3rd time my 5-year-old was headed down, I said to her, "You know, if you don't want to, you don't have to get her those things. She can go down there and get them on her own." And then she said to me so matter-of-factly, "It's not that she doesn't want to go down, it's that she's scared. I'm her big sister. I know these things." We were in my older daughter's room, and my husband was sitting on the edge of her bed, and we're catching up about our days. And my daughter was trying to read a book. So she looks at my husband and says, "Dad, please get off my bed." He asks her why, and she says, "Dad, I would like my space back, and I'm using my manners." I almost blurted out laughing, and then I looked at my husband, and the look of absolute pride on his face that his daughter could verbalize what she needed. As many of you know, we teach our kids the correct terms for human anatomy. So the other day, my 4-year-old says to me, "Daddy is peanut butter, right?" And I'm like, "I guess." And she's like, "And you're jelly, right?" And I was like, "Sure." And she goes, "Oh, that's why you go together." So I said, "Oh, that's so cute, but what made you say that?" And she goes, "Because girls have a vagina and boys have a peanut." This morning, my 3-year-old put on a metallic pink skirt, a sweatshirt with sequined patches on it, and her pink fur coat. And when we got to drop off, one of the moms looked at her and then said to me, "Wow, she's really dressed up for a Wednesday." It didn't feel nice. I almost made an excuse, like she dressed herself, and then I realized, why am I feeling shame about this? She's expressing herself through fashion. So I was gonna say something like, "Yes, I love it, happy Wednesday," but before I could say anything, my 3-year-old said so proudly, "I dressed myself, and my mom says I look like a fashionista." And then she flipped her hair and walked into school. I recently downloaded this app that helps sighted volunteers help blind people with small tasks, and I told my 6-year-old about it. So she's been checking in with me from time to time to see if I'd gotten a call. Well, last week she had just gotten home from camp and the app started ringing, so I picked it up. The person on the other line needed help setting up their thermostat after changing out the batteries, so it was maybe like a 2-minute call, and as I hung up, I looked at her, and she had the strangest look on her face. So I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she said, "First of all, it's so hot. I'm so happy you could help him. But Mama, second of all, I'm just really proud of you." One of the things we say a lot in my house is, "You're the boss of your body, and I'm the boss of my body." So when I took my daughter in for shots when she was 2, she confidently told the nurse, "I'm the boss of my body, no shots." Well, she just turned 3 and had to get a shot, so this time I thought I knew better and I warned her about it ahead of time. And as our pediatrician was coming into the room, my daughter looked at her and said, "No shots, my body, my choice." I took my 4-year-old to breakfast this morning because her school is shut down for COVID. She turned to the page of the menu with the cute pictures on it and said, "Is this the kids' menu? What's on it?" So I told her, mac and cheese, hamburger, chicken nuggets. And she asked me, "Why are all kids' menus the same?" And I said, "That's a very good question. What would you like?" And she said, "A kids' menu, but just with smaller adult food on it." My almost 4-year-old loves all food, but she probably loves Greek salad the most. So the other day we decided to make her a salad from our garden, and she was so excited, picking all the different lettuce leaves and tasting them as we went. And so I compiled the salad and I put it in front of her. She looks at it and then she crosses her arms really tightly, like she's really mad. So I asked her, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "Oh, I was taking a moment to hug myself because I love myself and I love my taste bud." My 5-year-old is probably not meant to be a ballerina. I went to parent observation day, and just like me, she's kind of clumsy and not particularly graceful. The other dancers are far more advanced, and the teacher kept putting her in the back. But throughout the class, she helped a girl who didn't know how to tie her shoes. She stopped mid-leap to check on someone who slipped and fell. And she made an effort to include everyone in the conversation when they had water breaks. So you know what? That day, she was my prima ballerina. It had just rained and I was walking through the park with my almost 4-year-old, and she had these little slip-on shoes which were new and white. So I told her, look out for the puddles. And she said, okay, mama, and then immediately slept into a puddle, and her shoe got stuck and came off and her foot went into the mud. So she's standing there with one foot in a shoe and one foot covered in mud, and she gives me this giant smile. So I start laughing and I'm like, what happened? And she goes, I'm just like Cinderella.